Hello again. It is a DLC from me, Joey Fitz. Lovely to have you here. Today, we're going to be talking about the game White Knuckle. Now, White Knuckle hasn't been out for very long. It was released on the 17th of April 2025, and it was developed by Dark Machine Games and published by Dread XP. I wanted to say thank you very much for my friends over at terminals.io for the review copy. And also thank you to Dark Machine and Dread XP because the game you've made is absolutely fantastic. White Knuckle is unlike anything I've ever played before. You may remember, if you're an avid listener of the podcast, that Tim had us play a game for Thanks I Hate It called Jusant, which was a climbing simulator where the climbing was press and hold a button and hold up. I found it incredibly frustrating that there was zero consequence if you ran out of time or rope. I feel like White Knuckle is everything I wanted the climbing within Jusant to be. White Knuckle is a first-person roguelite. It describes itself as a speed climbing game, and the idea is to ascend through a concrete tunnel with 10,000 meters of concrete above you. You have to use really precise movement, sharp reflexes, and resource management to bring you out through the concrete with lots of challenging obstacles along the way. There's a few things that I think make White Knuckle a really memorable experience. And that is, first of all, the art style. It looks like a PlayStation 2 game. And I mean that with every compliment behind it. It's dark, it's gritty. The character model is simply two white hands, and they're white until you are climbing, and then depending on how long you've been holding onto the thing that you're holding onto, they turn redder and redder and redder until they get too red, and you have to let go and regain all of the stamina within that hand. That's your resource management within the game for the most part. The levels that you go through in White Knuckle are varied to the point where you might have a level where all it is bricks all the way around this concrete tunnel, and you get to the end of the level and the metal doors shut behind you, and that is your safe space to stand on the ground, regain your composure, and get ready to climb all again. However, if you take too long, liquid starts to fill the room, and if you make contact with the liquid, your character dies. The atmosphere is enhanced hugely by the sense of unknown. The sound is minimal, so you hear the footsteps, you hear the odd grunt from your character, and you hear when you use an item. So you find items throughout the game. These can be pegs that you can use to make handholds for wherever you want them. It could be an iron bar that you throw at the wall and it sticks in the wall, giving you something else to use as a climbing aid. You could find a bar with a pointed end to it, and this is because there are enemies. Throughout the levels, you will find enemies scattered, and their job is to knock you right back down to the bottom so that the liquid can get you quicker than it would normally. As you complete a run in White Knuckle, the number of meters that you climbed ticks up, so that's really visible. The highest I got was probably 900 meters. I played this game for 4 hours at time of recording. I'll definitely go back. I've seen people online getting to thousands of meters, and I'd really like to achieve that. The game itself is available on Steam only at the moment, but with its success, and with streamers like Markiplier picking this up, I imagine we could see it on other platforms in the coming future. When you play White Knuckle, it takes a bit of time to get used to the movement, but once you get going, the stamina management is difficult but really fair. And when the water starts to rise and you have a very small window to get back to the metal door at the top of the room, the adrenaline really starts pumping. I've seen in reviews some people really criticize the game for not having a save system. I really like this. It adds to a pick up and play model for the game, but I have seen that the developer has said that they will be bringing in a save system so that you can have really long runs. I don't know if I'll ever be using it though. The game itself is available on Steam Deck as well, and I think it would be a really good one for the Steam Deck if you can get the controls right. So the controls on PC, you use WASD to move as standard, and your left click manages your left hand, and your right click manages your right hand. So the controls are really simple, and this adds to the just get into it and just play the game nature. I never felt like when I died in White Knuckle, it was a problem. I never felt like annoyed that I'd lost a run. I always felt like, oh, I learned something new here. I learned that if I hit the enemy with the long tentacle, I can actually jump and use the tentacle as a climbing aid. I found that there are bugs scattered throughout the map, and if you pick them up, you can use them as currency in the vending machines later on to buy more items. Every single time I played it, and every time I got a little bit further, I learned something that's going to aid me in a future run. And this is exactly what I think roguelike games need to be. I think if you have Steam, White Knuckle is a must play. For this reason, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's in early access at the moment, so expect to see even more updates when as time goes on. The game is priced at £11 or $15 for our USA brethren. And CGM Magazine has said it already has more replayability and potential and tighter gameplay than most of the AAA titles I've played this year. And I find it really hard to disagree with that. The game is actually Dark Machine Games' first project. And I'm really looking forward to continue to see what they manage to produce and what they turn White Knuckle into, because if this is the early access, if this is the earliest point that they're happy to release it, there's a lot to come from this. So keep your eye on White Knuckle. If you have Steam and you like a pick up and play style game, give it a go. It's listed as horror. I think it's a bit more of a bit of a tension thing rather than being actively scary, so don't let that put you off if you don't like horror games. Really enjoyed this game, probably one of my favorite games I've played this year. Thanks again for stopping by with me on DLC, and I'll see you next time.